Hello everybody, and welcome back to another episode, another video of CSEC Mathematics. In this video, we'll be looking at a very important topic. A topic that will definitely help you throughout the entire paper in your exam, paper 1 and paper 2. And that topic is solving linear equations. So at the end of this video, you should be able to solve equations with one unknown. So when we talk about equations, what exactly is an equation? Now, if you look at the word equation, the first 4 letters, if you just add one more letter to that, you will have equal. So the equation, it's something equal to something. You have two sides, which is separated by the equal sign, and this equal sign is telling you that these two sides are equal to each other. So let's say, for example, we have the equation y plus 5 is equal to 7. This equation is saying y plus 5, that side of the equation, is equal to 7. It's balanced. It's like you have a scale. One side of the scale is balanced with the other side of the scale. And when we're talking about solving an equation, you're actually finding the value for the unknown in the equation. And the unknown, that is represented by a variable or also known as the letter. So you're trying to find the value of this equation that will satisfy this equation. And what do I mean by satisfy? By satisfy, I mean when you finish finding the value of that equation, this side should be equal to that side. So when you work this out, we should have 7 is equal to 7. Because that is what the equal sign says. We can't have 8 is equal to 7 because 8 is not equal to 7. So when you find the value for this unknown and you work it out, you should have one side of the equation equal to the other side. That is what the equal sign is saying. So when we talk about solving, we're finding for that unknown value. So let's look at some examples. So there are two main ways that people use to solve equations. I'll look at both of them in the first example, and then I'll carry on with my favorite way to solve an equation. So let's look at the same one that we had just now. Y plus 5 is equal to 7. So when we want to solve this equation, we're trying to leave the unknown by itself on one side of the equation. So how do we do that? We do that by getting rid of all the other things, all the other numbers surrounding the unknown. So we have 5 of something. What can we do to get rid of that 5 of something and make it equal 0? Of course, if you have 5 of something, all you have to do is take away from that 5 of something. So to solve this equation, we have y plus 5. And to get rid of this 5, we subtract 5 is equal to 7. But of course, if you have a scale and you have, let's say, 10 pounds of potato on this side and you have 10 pounds of potato on this side, and you take off 5 pounds of potato from this side, the scale will become unbalanced. So to balance back the scale, because you took off 5 from this side, you must also take off 5 from the other side of the equation. So we must subtract 5 from both sides. So we'll have y plus 5, and we subtract the 5 on that side, and we must subtract 5 from the other side as well. So whatever we do on one side, we must do the same thing on the other side. So 5 subtract 5 will give us 0. So we'll have y is equal to 7 subtract 5 would give you 2. And how can we check to see if our answer is correct? So this is saying y is equal to 2. So we can go back to the original equation that says y plus 5 is equal to 7. And we found that y is equal to 2. So the value of y is 2. So we can replace y with 2. So we'll have, instead of y plus 5, we'll have 2 plus 5. And that should be equal to 7. 2 plus 5 is indeed 7. So 7 is equal to 7. So that equation is balanced. One side is equal to the other side. And that is how you solve an equation. So that is a very easy example. So let's look at the other way and my favorite way to solve an equation. So let's use the same equation. Y plus 5 is equal to 7. And let's say we want to solve this equation. So just like with the previous example, you're trying to leave y, the unknown, on one side of the equation by itself. So what do? We take over everything else surrounding the y. So we have y plus 5 is equal to 7. And the thing is, we want to take this 5 over the equal sign with the 7. But when you take a number or a variable over the equal sign, whatever operation the variable, whatever operation that number was doing, whatever operation the variable or whatever was doing, when it goes over the equal sign, it will do the opposite to what it was doing. So The opposite of addition is subtraction. The opposite of multiplication is division, vice versa. So if you want to take over this 5 and this 5 is added, when we take this 5 over the equal sign, it will do the opposite, which is to subtract. So you'll have y is equal to 7 subtract 5. Hence y is equal to 2, as we found just with the previous example. So this is one way you can do it, and that is the other way. Whichever way is your favorite, it's up to you. But I prefer to work it this way because it's faster and it's less messy. So let's look at another example. So let's look at another example. Let's say we have 3x is equal to 12. And we're asked to solve this equation. So we want to get rid of everything surrounding the x. And we have 3x. And what is that 3 doing to that x? Of course, we know that the 3 is multiplying the x. So we take the 3 over the equal sign. The opposite of multiplication is division. So we'll have x is equal to 12 divided by 3. So x will therefore be equal to 12 divided by 3 would give you 4. And 12 divided by 3 would of course give you 4. So the value of x is 4. And of course we can see if our answer is correct. So we know the 3 is multiplying the x. So we know the value of x is 4. So 3 times 4, that should give you 12. 3 4 is indeed 12. So 12 is equal to 12. And that is how we can check to see if our answer is correct. So let's do another example. So we have b divided by 10 is equal to 3. And we want to solve for b. So we see the 10 now is dividing. We want to get rid of everything surrounding the b, which is the unknown. So the 10 is dividing. So we take this 10 over the equal sign. The opposite of division will be multiplication. So b will be equal to 3 multiplied by 10. Hence b will be equal to 30. And of course, b divided by 10 would give you 3. And we know b is equal to 30. And 30 divided by 10 will of course give you 3. So that's how we can check to see if our answer is correct. Let's take things up a bit. Let's say we have the equation 2. So let's say we have the equation 2y minus 5 is equal to 9. And we want to solve this equation. So these kind of equations in which you have either a number is adding or subtracting and then another number is multiplying is equal to something. So these kind of equations, these kinds you would see very often. You must know to solve equations like these. You absolutely must know to solve them. Because when you have complicated equations, they all will boil down to this equation. And you must know to take it from here. So the first thing you want to do, you want to take over the thing that is either adding or subtracting. In this case, we have 2y minus 5 is equal to 9. So the first thing we want to do, we want to take over this 5. And the 5 is subtracting. So when we take the 5 over, we'll have 2y is equal to 9. Instead of subtract, the 5 will now, the opposite of subtraction will be addition. So 2y will be equal to 9 plus 5. And 9 plus 5 would give us 14. And the last step, we have 2y is equal to 14. So the 2 is multiplying the y. So when we take over the 2, the opposite of multiplication is division. So we'll have y is equal to 14 divided by 2. Hence y would be equal to 14 divided by 2 is 7. So the value of y is 7. How can we check to make sure our answer is 100% correct? So what we do, we can substitute the value of y into the equation to see if it will be balanced. So we have 2y, so we know that is 2 multiplied y. So instead of y now, we know the value of y is 7. So this will be 2 multiplied by 7 minus 5, and that should give you 9. So 2 7s, 14, subtract 5, that would give you 9. So 14 subtract 5 will of course give us 9. So 9 is equal to 9. So our equation is balanced and we know we got all of our marks. So let's take things up a bit now. So let's say we have the equation 6x plus 3 is equal to 2x plus 19. So we see we have two sets of x's, but of course we have one unknown, which is x. So what do we do in this case? Now, the first thing you want to do from the time you have something that we call like terms, the first thing you want to do, you always want to group those like terms. You want to put them together. So you put all the terms that are like on one side and the other terms that are also like on the other side. So let's put the terms with the x's that are like on the left hand side. So we have 6x. So we are bringing over this 2x with the 6x. So 6x, so this 2x it's adding. When we take it over, it will subtract. And that will be equal to, and on this side we have 19. And we're taking over this plus 3 with the 19. So the 3 is adding. When we take it over, it will subtract. So we have 19 subtract 3. And 6x subtract 2x, that will give you 4x is equal to 19 subtract 3 would give us 16. And 4x is equal to 16. So now we can easily take over the 4. We know the 4 is multiplying the x. So x would be equal to 16 divided by 4. And therefore, x will be equal to 16 divided by 4 give us 4. And once again, we can check. We can put in this value for 4 in the original equation to see if it will be balanced. And this is just, you don't have to do this. This is just like a check to make sure you did whatever you did is absolutely correct. So, to check now. So let's check. So 6 times x, so we know the value of x would be 4. So 6 multiplied by 4 plus 3, that should be equal to 2 multiplied by x, which is 4, plus 19. So 6 4s 24 plus 3 is equal to 2 4s 8 plus 19. So 24 plus 3 would give us 27, and that is equal to 8 plus 19 would give us 27 as well. So it's balanced, it's checked, so we know what we did is absolutely correct. So let's take things further now. Let's take things up a bit. So let's say we have the equation 2x plus 3 all divided by 3 is equal to x minus 5 all divided by 2. So we see a fraction is equal to a fraction. Now, whenever you see a fraction is equal to a fraction, what you want to do it's hard to work with fractional equations. So what we want to do, we want to, try to get rid of the denominator. So how do we get rid of the denominator? By simply cross multiplying the denominators. So we multiply this 3 by everything on that side, and we multiply this 2 by everything on that side. So let's multiply the 2 by 2x plus 3. So this will be 2 multiplied by 2x plus 3, and that should be equal to 3 multiplied by the x minus 5 multiplied by x minus 5. So we must put the 2 outside the bracket, and it must multiply everything, because the 2 is multiplying everything and the 3 is multiplying everything. So let's do some multiplication. So we have to use the law called the distributive law. If you want to get rid of the brackets, that term has to multiply all the terms in the bracket. So this would be 2 multiplied by 2x, which would give us 4x. 2 multiplied by plus 3 will give us plus 6. And that will be equal to 3 multiplied by x would give us 3x. And 3 multiplied by negative 5 would give us negative 15 minus 15. So the new equation that we have now would be 4x plus 6 is equal to 3x minus 15. And of course, it brings us back to a similar situation that we were in the previous question. So what we have to do the thing that we did just now, which is to group the like terms. So you put all the terms that are like together on one side of the equation. So you bring over all the x's on the left hand side. So we'll have 4x subtract 3x is equal to, now we have to be careful with the signs here. So we're left with minus 15, and when we take over this plus 6, it will become the opposite. It's adding. So when we take it over, it will subtract. This will become subtract 6. So 4x subtract 3x, we know that would give you 1x, but of course we know in algebra, we don't write back 1. It's understandable that a 1 is in front of the x. So x will be equal to negative 15 subtract 6. That would give us a negative 21. So we know the value of x is equal to negative 21 when we solve this equation. So you can go ahead on your own time and check to see if what we did is absolutely correct. And of course, if you're not sure about your answer, you want to check your answer. So let's check. Let's check to make sure what we did is absolutely correct. So let's check. You don't have to check, but it's good to check. So we know 2 multiplied by x, and we know the value of x is negative 21 plus 3, all divided by 3, and that should be equal to negative 21 instead of x minus 5, all divided by 2. So 2 multiplied by negative 21, that would give you a negative 42 plus 3, all divided by 3. And that would be equal to negative 21 subtract 5 would give us a negative 26, all divided by 2. And now we have negative 42 plus 3. That would give you a negative 39, all divided by 3. So negative 39 divided by 3, that would give us a negative 13. And that should be equal to 26 divided by 2 would give us a negative 13 as well. So negative 13 is equal to negative 13. So it checks out and our answer is 100% correct. So let's look at another example. So let's say we have 5 open bracket x minus 2 is equal to 3x plus 8. And we're asked to solve this equation. So we have 5 multiplied by x minus 2 is equal to 3x plus 8. So what do? The first thing we want to do, we want to expand the brackets. You always look to expand the brackets, get rid of the brackets. So let's do some expansion. So this will be 5 multiplied by x, which would give you 5x. 5 multiplied by negative 2, that would give you minus 10. And that will be equal to 3x plus 8. So once again, we end up in a similar situation. So what do? We group the like terms. So 5x subtract 10 is equal to 3x plus 8. We put all the terms with the unknown on one side. So we have 5x. I bring over the plus 3x with it. So we know the 3x is adding. So when we take over the 3x over the equal sign, it will subtract. And this will be equal to 8. And this 10 is subtracting. So when we take it over the equal sign, it will add. So this will be plus 10. So 5x subtract 3x, that would give you 2x is equal to 8 plus 10 would give you 18. So 2x is equal to 18. And to solve x, we simply take over the 2. The 2 is multiplying. When we take it over, it will divide. So we'll have x is equal to 18 divided by 2. So the value of x is 9. So x is equal to 9. Of course, you can check in your own time to see if that is correct. And with that, it brings us to the end of our list of questions. And I will leave this question for you to solve on your own. So this is one for you to try on your own after the ending of this video. So you're solving this. So it's x plus 5 all divided by x minus 1 is equal to 2 over 3. And you're finding the value of x for this one. So with that, it brings us to the end of this video. I trust that you now have a better understanding of solving linear equations, which is a very important topic in mathematics. One of the most important topics. If you cannot solve equations, then you are a good way from doing well in your exams. So you must have a firm understanding of this. So I trust that this video was helpful, and I'll see you in the next one.